Okay, and we should now be live. This is session 7 of our Heart of Darkness Edge of the Empire campaign. Last session, our group of ne'er-do-wells went to try and rescue their Wookiee companion, Ralbac, from the clutches of a number of Trandoshans from the Blood Clan, who had kidnapped him and taken him aboard this capital-class gunship, the Blood Thane, that they were using as a base of operations, effectively a ship-breaking and salvage operation in the heart of an asteroid field, a couple of days' travel in hyperspace away from Quen Station. They were aided in this by members of a Consortium fleet, one of which they were familiar with, a Rodian they'd met previously, who they believed had actually left them behind in Scarpad when they'd previously encountered these Trandoshans. However, it was revealed that the Rodian had been sort of playing a double bluff in case the Trandoshans were monitoring the situation. He'd returned with another gunship, a Hammerhead corvette, and a couple of fighter wings. Between them and the Occulus Tenebris, they were able to rescue Ralbac and effectively cut the head off the Trandoshan operations, literally as well as figuratively. Unfortunately, during the rescue attempt, when Ralbac had to make a daring but perhaps slightly ill-advised jump across the vacuum of space to get back into the Occulus Tenebris after getting free of the captivity he was held in, they had to send out Relatha, their other Wookiee, to attempt to rescue him, and the two of them were stranded in open space. Captain Tycho Madar, with only the time to scoop up one of them before they met a horrible death, chose Ralbac, scooped him up in the ship, leaving Relatha drifting off, slowly freezing to death in the vacuum of space. His last act to trigger an explosive aboard a probe droid that he'd gifted to Ralbac, given that they had this sort of hate masked with a thin veneer of respect sort of relationship between the two of them. The explosive went off, totaling a number of systems on board the Occulus Tenebris, which was already heavily damaged, so down to less than 50% hull efficiency. The explosion threw Ralbac across the cargo bay into a wall. Down he went, out for the count. They then met the rest of the Consortium from this Obsidian fleet, who were planning to take over the Trandoshan operation in the name of the Zan Consortium. Ralbac has been shuffled off to a Bacta tank to recover from his hideous injuries and hopefully let some of his fur regrow from the fireball that engulfed him from Relatha's explosion. So we're going to pick up the session where we left off with our group of ne'er-do-wells, Tycho and Link, on board this now recaptured Blood Thane gunship, this capital gunship, talking to the rest of the Zan Consortium. But before we do that, I'm going to ask each of the players to introduce themselves and say a little bit about their characters. So, Jason, say hello and introduce your character.
Evening all, my name is Jason. I am playing Link, the bloodthirsty, trigger-happy gun maniac who has recently just been inside the confined compartments of the gun compartment, apparently having a huge amount of part to play in this dogfight that's been happening. There's been tons of space battles happening. Yeah, pretty back.
Thank you very much. Next we go on to Rufus. Rufus, introduce yourself and say a bit about your new character.
So, my name is Rufus, and today I'll be introducing my new character, who is called Morba the Terrible, and he is a Hutt working for the Zan Consortium, and because of this, his relationship with the Hutt Gadgetics has noticeably fallen to an all-point low. Yeah, that's him.
Okay, thank you very much. And last but by no means least, Johannes, introduce yourself and say a bit about your character.
So, hello, my name is Johannes. I'm playing Tycho Madar, the, I guess, acting captain of our Occulus Tenebris, the ship that we are on. Tycho is a Sun Consortium agent, a company man. He is a slicer and an impersonator, infiltrator of computer systems and systems of people as well.
Okay, thank you very much. So we pick up on board the Bloodthane, this large capital gunship that was taken over by the Consortium last session. It was previously being used by the Trandoshan Blood Clan from its hideout, basically, in the midst of this dense asteroid field. They'd installed tractor beam emplacements on a number of the asteroids, and effectively they used to go in, wreck a ship, tow it back to this place. It would then be pulled apart by these tractor beams. They'd scoop up any survivors to sell on as slaves or force into working for them, and any valuable cargo they would also scoop up and sell, and obviously any wreckage from the ships they would also sell on for a profit via their contacts throughout the sector. However, it's now been taken over by the Zan Consortium, thanks in no small part to the amazing shooting of Ralbac last session, gone but not forgotten, taking out most of the tractor beams seemingly in the space of about 5 minutes, aided massively by the tremendous flying, corkscrewing and bower rolling skills of Captain Tycho Madar, zipping between these asteroids, losing only a few of the sort of secondary systems off the hull of the ship as he did so. So we start off with you guys on effectively the command bridge, Tycho and Link, of this huge capital class gunship. There are a number of Zan Consortium people stood about, and a lot of crew are being brought on board from the Hammerhead corvette that was previously designated as Obsidian Command, that basically led the battle, although you guys are pretty much allowed to do your own thing. So we begin with Link and Tycho stood there. You're faced by a large Nortolan, dark black, slightly bluish skin that seems to like shine sort of iridescent under some of the winking lights of this capital class gunship as they're slowly bringing the systems back on board. Ralbac has been taken away due to the extensive nature of his injuries. You've been told by some of the Consortium people that they're going to put him in a Bacta tank, since they've now effectively claimed the medical frigate that was also bought here, which had a lot of Bacta on board, and they're using that to heal some of the injured people, although you assume they're probably keeping a bit tucked back to sell on the black market, but you've not been told a great number of details about that. So you guys are stood there. People are running about. There's a lot of general commotion on board the ship. People are running to the stations. There's a lot of damage limitation crews on board the ship trying to get all the systems back up and running. From what you've heard people saying as they're running about, it seems that the Consortium's planning to keep running this operation, but obviously for their own purposes. So what are you two guys thinking as this is all going on around you?
Oh, good to stretch the legs for a change.
Yeah, I think we're probably in like a mess hall. Because
Sure,
we've been traveling for a while and fighting a lot, and our ship is destroyed. So we probably want some R&R.
Indeed, your ship is currently docked with the Bloodthane now that it's free of Trandoshans. The last few have been rounded up and they've been shipped off on board Consortium vessels. However, from what you've heard from a few of the Consortium technicians, your ship's going to take a fair old while to repair, which doesn't really surprise you, Tycho, given that you pretty much flew through an asteroid field, like smashing the shit out of the hull of your ship as you did so. You then flew through at least 2 explosions before reversing the ship into another vessel. And
I flew the ship into a ship. So.
Indeed. Then just as you were thinking, oh, well, I've got Ralbac on board, that's fine, it's probably all dealt with. Obviously, Ralbac detonated his explosive on board as his last defiant act, which not only sort of pretty much took out Ralbac, almost killing him, but also fried most of the secondary systems, certainly on board the rear of the ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're probably relaxing there. Probably eating well for the first time in a while. Though I don't know it's Trandoshans, right? So it's probably going to be disgusting.
Indeed, most of the sort of, I suppose what you call the sort of replimats or the sort of food vendors on board this ship seem to put out for one of a better description, would be like a sort of beef paste. It's almost like a sort of meat flavoured toothpaste, if you can imagine that. It's just like dispensed from a nozzle.
Well, it's not the best thing I've eaten, but you shouldn't take things for granted. I've eaten real shit before.
As you're having this conversation, one of these sort of ship comms goes off, and you hear from a speaker a voice saying, "Would Captain Madar and Link please report to the command bridge? Would Captain Madar and Link please report to the command bridge?"
Okay, Link, it seems that we are saved as I push away my plate
Saved?
of the meat paste.
Last time I was asked to be summoned anywhere, that was to be incarcerated for decades.
Yes, well, these are our people, so nothing to be afraid of there. Even though Obsidian is a fairly imposing figure, even if I've only seen him in Holo.
Yeah, I'll believe that when I'm back in space again.
Yeah, well, means for for the next little while, our ship is going to be out of action. Again, I just hope that we will get a replacement from Obsidian, or that they actually will take us wherever they're going. But can't keep the commander waiting, so.
No, you're right. Let's offer his blueness our presence.
Okay, so you guys head up to the command deck of the vessel. It's a fairly long journey because it's a capital ship. You have to take a couple of elevators and move through a number of corridors. You're complimented, Tycho, on your flying by a number of the Consortium people as you head past them. Obviously, a few of them saw the sort of acrobatics you got up to, and quite a few of them are talking about how quickly you guys managed to take out the tractor beam emplacements, which allowed their fleet to effectively move to attack the gunship unhindered by it. As you arrive at the command deck, you can see there's people all over it. There's various equipment that's fried there. There's technicians from the Consortium working on it, trying to get it up to like a good working order so it can be commanded by the Consortium. In this sort of central command chair, the standard sort of swivel model that they have on all of these capital gunships, you can see a very large, he's probably about 6.5, 7 foot tall, Nortolan. He has this black sort of iridescent skin that occasionally, as one of the emergency lights winks on, shines blue in the light of the command deck. He turns around to look at you, sees you, looks at you with these massive black eyes set into his face, stands up, walks towards you and holds out a hand towards you, and he says, "It's good to put a name to the face."
Oh yes, though your reputation precedes you, and I put my probably comparatively quite small hand into his massive paw.
He shakes your hand and he said, "That was some fancy flying out there."
I don't say anything. I just bow my head.
He looks at you for a few moments, unblinking, these huge black eyes seeming to stare into you. And then he holds out what appears to be a small hollow transmitter towards you, and he says, "Tell me, what do you know about this?"
I reluctantly shake his hand.
He shakes your hand with his free hand, still sort of holding out the hollow transmitter towards you, Tycho.
Yeah. I presume it's the kind that I could hold as well, and not just this massive Nortolan.
It's just a standard size hollow transmitter.
Yeah.
Effectively a small disc with a small transmitter on top of it.
Yep. So I'll grab it, turn it on.
Okay, when you turn it on, you see what appears to be a small hollow transmission in the sort of standard flickering blue light of a hologram that appears to show Ralbac, your Wookiee companion, strapped to some sort of like interrogation bed. You can see sort of hovering near to him is one of these spherical interrogation droids with all manner of unpleasant like cutting implements on manipulators hanging below it. As you watch, you hear this voice from somewhere off camera say, "Tell us everything you know about the Dark Star." At which point, Ralbac, who appears to be in some sort of perhaps drug-induced trance, begins relaying all of the information that you guys have found out about the Dark Star. At which point, again, you hear this sort of reptilian hissing voice from off-camera say, "Transmit this to clan headquarters immediately." A few moments later, the hologram winks out.
I hand it back to Obsidian. And at this point, John, I would like to ask if there was anything of any sort of relevance to the Dark Star in the Bloodthane databanks that I swiped.
Okay,
if I just did like a quick search.
That's absolutely fine. Make me a computers roll.
Mm-hmm. Difficulty.
The difficulty is 2.
Good. Well.
Wow, okay.
Wow. What a first roll. Okay.
Yeah, it's all downhill from here.
So basically, as you're sort of looking over the data that you downloaded from the Capital Gunship's computers, and you basically copy and paste it to the Occulus Tenebris database, which of course you have remote access to, you see that apparently they were already looking for this Dark Star, whatever it is. They don't really know much more about it than you, other than the fact it's supposed to be some sort of weapon from the end of the Clone Wars that the Separatists were working on. Now, obviously, Trandoshans being a fairly warlike species, if there's some sort of super secret weapon knocking about, they want to get their claws onto it. And they've been sort of scouring the sector, but they haven't really found any information on it until, obviously, they captured Ralbac, who was more than aware that it's supposedly on this rogue planet that's currently heading through the sector. He's relayed all of that information to them. And as you're sort of thinking about this, Obsidian says, "Yeah, we found this in the Trandoshan database. It appears they already sent it before we arrive to wherever their base command is."
Yes, I imagine finding out the coordinates of their base is fairly easy if you desire. I can take a look at the databanks. But I can tell you that there are several systems where the Dark Star is not, and all of our previous knowledge seems to point out to the Dark Star being on this rogue planet that, unfortunately, I don't know the current location. I would need access to an astrogation computer to calculate it for you, but fairly easy.
Getting you the access.
It is a known quantity.
Getting you the access to the computer systems is not a problem. We got plenty of computer power up and running on this vessel. However, I don't really have the manpower to spare at the minute. Most of my men are being used to restore this ship in case the Trandoshans decide to try and take it back. And I don't think your ship's in much state to be going on any mission at the minute.
No, the engine works, but that's not enough to fly.
However, if this Dark Star is as good a weapon as everyone seems to think, then we need to get it first before the Trandoshans get it, or anyone else gets
Obviously.
it. We need to claim it
Obviously,
for the
yes.
Consortium. He leans forward a little bit, sort of staring down at you, and he says, "Tell you what I'm going to do. We have recently called in one of our operatives since we're facing problems in some parts of this sector from the Hut cartels trying to move in on our interests. So we've contacted one of our specialists in dealing with them. He has his own shuttle. I'm sure with a little bit of persuasion he can be persuaded to lend it to you so that you can retrieve this weapon for us.
Is this shuttle equipped with the appropriate containment facilities? We are talking, I presume, about a weapon of vast capacity.
Your guess is as good as mine. We don't have any hard information about the nature of the weapon.
I imagine it's not going to be turbo lasers, so...
I would hope not. I've got plenty of them.
At the very least, I guess we can... And you can see that Tycho is slightly disturbed by the fact that we're supposed to take a shuttle now and go after this weapon, which is being actively pursued by interests wielding massive gunships. But yeah, if we are going there, I guess at least we can take a look.
Why don't you have you and your companion, and he nods at you, Link, why don't you take a walk with me down to the launch bay? I'll introduce you to our specialist. You can talk out the details amongst yourselves. Okay.
And off we go.
So Obsidian leads you through the various corridors towards the front of this large gunship where the launch bays are located. You can see that sort of alongside the gunship with a sort of docking bridge extended is the Hammerhead corvette that Obsidian was previously commanding during the battle to take this area in the name of the Consortium. There's also a small shuttle also docked with the vessel, and as you're let in, there is what appears to be a hut stood near the docking ramp to this shuttle. So, Rufus, if you'd like to describe what they see when they spot Morba in there.
So what they see is a repulsor sled used by some huts. It's sort of a floating bed that this ginormous obese hut, who is not that old, but he puts up in size well of an ancient hut. Yeah, on his repulsor sled there is this holographic dancer. If you have seen him, and you have, it's always there. Right now, it's two Twi'lek dancers are doing a show, and Morba is just occasionally peeks at the direction of the dancers while pretending, or I don't know, to not doing so.
Okay, so as you guys head in there, Link, you obviously recognise Morba the Hut, having done some, shall we say, less than savoury operations on his behalf in the past. He has something of a reputation for being quite merciless, and it's earned him the nickname The Terrible amongst his fellows on the Consortium. People who cross him tend to have an unnerving tendency to disappear and then turn up sort of spread over a large area a short time later. Captain Tycho, you've only really heard of him by reputation, and he's responded to like a few of your sort of posts on the Consortium sort of shadow net from time to time.
So as I see Morbo, I just laugh, and I shout to him, "What the hell are you doing all the way out here?"
You see, he tries taking the effort of turning his head. After failing at that task, he just uses his hand to control this giant sled and turn around completely. And he finally sees you. You can see his eyes grow wide. And he starts with a good hearty laugh. Ho, 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 ho. Batisa. Link, and he extends his hand and beckons you to a hug.
I was going to ask, actually. I'm assuming that I know at least a little bit Huttese.
Yeah, I imagine you would.
I'd assume that since you two have worked together, you can probably get by in Huttese. You can't really hold a fluent conversation in it yourself, but you can understand sort of the basics of it.
But surely it's still a bit like the Star Wars movies where the protagonists or whatever always talk in basic. They never talk in Huttese. So I'll probably just talk to you in basic. But all right, yeah. I kind of grab you and sort of hug you, but then deeply regret it as I realise that you're all slimy. But
Yeah,
I try not to show that repulsiveness.
you can smell the strong scent of whatever herbs he has been smoking through his hookah. Yeah.
Okay, so as you're led in and Link, you give Morba a hug. Obsidian walks in and he says, I'm sure some of you have heard of Morba the Terrible. He's our specialist. He's going to help us in dealing with the... Yes, I'd heard you'd worked with him previously. He's going to help us with our issues with the Hutt cartels. But as I say, Morba has his own shuttle. You can see it docked just out there. Morba, we need you to take these two operatives and go and retrieve something for us. Their ship's all shot up.
Morba just nods and says something in Huttese that Obsidian understands as, of course, my friend.
He nods and says, good. Then he turns to you, Tycho, and says, you handled yourself pretty well in the battle that took place yesterday. You might be marked out for some greater things in the Consortium, depending on how you do in this mission, of course. I like someone who's willing to sacrifice for the greater cause. And when I say greater cause, I mean the Consortium.
Yes, there is no greater cause than enlightened self-interest, and the Consortium facilitates that for all of us.
Of course. Now, your friend, the Wookiee, he's pretty banged up. We've got him installed in one of our recently acquired Bacta tanks. He should be all right given enough time, but we've got a number of our other people in there. So I'm afraid he's going to have to bow out of this mission. But I'm sure you can, with the aid of Morba, of course, I'm sure you can all handle yourself. I'll leave you to bring Morba up to speed on what you know about this Dark Star.
Very good, then. I presume we'll be talking about the potential climbing up in rank of certain present characters at a later time when we contact you with either our delivery of the Dark Star or the coordinates where it's being held. In the event that we cannot
pat you on the shoulder, and he gestures across to the other side of the launch bay where you can see, as I said, this hammerhead corvette, this capital size ship with the docking ramp extended. He leans closer and then says, well, let's put it this way. I'm going to be taking over command of operations here. And he looks around, gesturing to the gunship all around you. So we're going to need someone to be piloting my old ship. But I've grown quite fond of the ship. I'm not just going to see anyone pilot it. It needs to be someone who's worthy, if you understand me.
I nod, and then I jerk my thumb at Link. Between us two, I think we will settle these matters quite quickly after we return.
Good. Well, I'll leave you all to it, but if this dark star's on this rogue planet that you've been talking about, I suggest you make quick work of it by our calculations, since we've got a lot more processing power on board this vessel. It's going to be leaving the sector in 2 days, at most. We've also picked up some traces that show the planetoid might be slowly breaking up. So you may not have much time, and it might be a bumpy landing.
Not entirely unfamiliar with those.
Well, I suggest you all discuss it en route. Time's wasting.
Yeah, we understand Obsidian.
Good. Well, I look forward to your report afterwards.
Yeah. I do a quick salute to Obsidian. And then I go to Morba, like extend my hand.
Barbara and I go back quite a long way. I've done quite a few things for him. We understand each other.
Tycho, you have a slimy, large, obese hand extended to you, as he says, "Captain Tycho." Ho ho ho.
I smile a bit, shake your slimy, disgusting hand, and I fumble about in Huttese. I can't speak Huttese much at all, but it's almost as if like Tycho is simultaneously using a terrible version of like Google Translate to translate basic into Huttese, and it's filled with like mistakes, but like the basic gist of it is there. And I go, how is that death stick deal working for you? Except like a broken version of that.
Yeah, you can see Morba looks surprised, and but after a second of thinking, he thinks you maybe mistranslated something, or and pretends to ignore you and just like slaps your shoulder as he starts sliding towards the ship.
Yeah. Right. So I think we board, and while we do so, we just go briefly over the Dark Star details to bring Morba up to speed.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Now, Morba, what sort of shuttle would you have?
I think this basic hut-shaped shuttle, but because of it's a hot shuttle, it's probably filled with very sleazy things inside. You know what you would find some pervy old man's home. Loads of large spaces inside. All kinds of psychedelics, drinks, and yeah, those sort of things. It looks sort of pleasant if you are into that kind of thing.
Okay, so that's what you guys see when you head aboard Morba's shuttle.
All right then.
Keeping it clean then.
I presume we have the cargo space for the Dark Star in case we need to haul it away.
He basically nods in agreement.
Good. Which way to the cockpits? We need to start firing up the astrogation.
He points his fat fingers towards a way. You can see his death path is not really threaded by him. It isn't wide enough to accommodate his sled, and he just doesn't. He prefers not to use his own locomotive, so he's not walking there or sliding. Yeah. So basically, he points away.
Yeah.
Okay, now, Morba, do you have a crew that flies your shuttle, or do you normally fly it yourself?
I do not fly myself. I imagine I have some sort of protocol droid or something, if you think.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. What would you like to call your protocol droid?
Mankin.
Yeah, let's just think of the name. But he's one of those bug-faced protocol droids, right? So it's not the human-faced version. And his name is... I don't know. I'm really bad at this. Poodoo. Yeah, that sounds amazing. So P00D00.
Okay, so as you head onto the sort of like the piloting station of the ship Tycho, you can see this sort of what color would your protocol droid be?
A dark
Brown?
gray. Dark gray.
You see this sort of dark grey protocol of this strange, almost like insectile looking sort of head on it. Looks even less human than Tin Man, like the other protocol droids you've seen. It's sort of gunmetal grey colour. It's sat in the pilot seat.
Yeah, does it look mobile, or is it like hardwired into the ship?
It appears to be fully mobile. You see that basically only its head looks to be of a different configuration. The sort of from the neck down, it's pretty much the standard sort of protocol droid body chassis. It looks up as you enter, so it turns its head towards you, but doesn't say anything, and then turns back towards the piloting instrumentation.
Yep. I presume the ship controls are familiar enough for me to know what's what.
Yeah, they're pretty standard controls.
Yeah. So I'll start firing up the astrogation computer and then like turn to the protocol droid. Just in basic, just to like, do you know basic?
As you go to like start interfering with the instrumentation, the protocol droid's like arm flashes down to like grabs hold of your wrist, and then on the shipboard comms sort of relayed into your like personal communicator built into your sled, Morba, you hear the voice of your protocol droid saying, "Most terrible and excellent Majesty, we have an authorized person in the pilot's area."
Marontosa naistopata, says Morba, which approximately means, you idiot, those are friends, just let them be.
At which point you hear the Hut's voice come through, at which point the protocol droid says, "Understood," and he lets go of your hand, Tycho.
Yeah.
He's a defensive one.
Okay.
Does the droid actually reply to me in any way? Because I asked him, like, does he understand basic? No.
It doesn't respond immediately. However, when it's confirmed that its master regards you as allies, it says, "Yes, I understand basic."
Oh, we'll get along fine then.
What kind of droid are you? I've never seen one like you.
I am a protocol droid.
You're a protocol droid?
Yes.
Could have fooled me.
Yes, I
No.
could.
Scrap heap.
Not very verbose, this one. And I look to Link, kind of like raising my eyebrows to signify, what is this droid?
I am programmed to speak only when addressed.
What's this droid's name, Morbo? Morbo, sorry.
But are you at the cockpit now with the others?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see there's actually like a small screen that he talks through to the droid, because he never goes to the cockpit. And you can see him through there, and he's looking at you. He's speaking in Huttese, but I am going to not. And he says he's called Pudu.
Oh, what an unfortunate scrap heap to be called Poodoo.
Well, he hasn't been very impressive. He hasn't earned a better name.
Well, luckily, we're both here.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
fly
at this
better than
point,
he can.
he just like turns to the droid, and you hear that, you scrap pile. I'm going to disintegrate you if you continue to behave like this.
As you wish, most terrible and excellent Majesty.
I turn back to the astrogation computer like, right.
Yeah, me and Marlborough are kind of playing off each other a bit, and then I realised, oh yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah,
Thumbs up together.
at this point, you know one of those mouse droids that Chewbacca scared in the movie? The little black ones?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he has a few of those on the ship, and one of them approaches you with a little tray on its head, and there is some Corellian whiskey served on it, Link. Little tugging at your leg, this little mouse droid. And Morba from the screen, please, Link, I can't let you be thirsty on my ship.
You're too kind as always.
He turns to Taiko and says, I would offer you, but I have a fear for the safety of my ship. Maybe next time.
You do realise I'm helping Tycho out, by the way, but I still drink anyway.
This ship particularly flies itself, he says.
The gesture is appreciated, Morba. I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to drink and dance later.
Okay, so Tycho, if you're preparing to take the ship into hyperspace, can you please make me an astrogation roll? It is difficulty 2.
Yep. Difficulty 2?
Yep.
Anyway, they say that after a couple, I'm much better on the guns.
Okay, Tycho, not a problem. Since you pretty much know where the path of this rogue planetoid, you punch in the coordinates, the ship moves out, disengages its docking ramp from the blood thane. You move a short distance away, hit the button for hyperspace. There's a lurching sensation in your stomachs as the stars blur past you. You would guesstimate, based on the instrumentation, that it's going to take you about 8 hours in hyperspace to reach the projected position of the rogue planet. You can also see, sort of based on your figures and your telemetry, that what Obsidian was saying is pretty much accurate. It's probably going to leave the sector in like the next day or two if it carries on its current course and speed. Okay, as you guys are heading through hyperspace, like I say, you've got about 8 hours in hyperspace. Is there anything in particular you want to do during that time?
I would probably drink and dance with Morba, catch up and talk about life.
Absolutely fine. Okay.
Taiko, will you join us?
Yeah, though I don't think I'm gonna be like taking any sort of narcotics, but I'll be sitting there talking about stuff because I'm aware of Morba and I like knowing important people, so trying to make a good impression even though I'm not drinking.
Well, but basically he just like throws a mini party, not like a dancing kind, but sitting down, he offers the hookah to everyone. It has like a narcotic that doesn't really do much except a slight euphoria.
Whilst
Mark on herb.
Whilst this is going on, the protocol droid Poodoo is He's basically monitoring the systems and says that he'll alert you if there's any issues, but he doesn't predict any.
Yeah, and he starts telling stories of how he has been working with the consortium and what sort of situations he got in. And he's telling stories, and he maybe shows holo screen pictures of some particularly gruesome jobs that he had done to Link, reminiscing about old times.
Yeah, I'm happily taking the narcotics as well.
Sure.
I haven't had one of these for years. It's not bad. It's good quality.
You know me, Link. I'm a man of refined tastes.
Okay, so about after this sort of like mini sort of party, about 8 hours later, you exit hyperspace. There's the of the stars realigning themselves as Morba finishes his sort of like hut body popping, and you exit hyperspace. In front of there's a now familiar sensation to you, Tycho, as you exit hyperspace, of the sound of like very small sort of like meteorites like bouncing off the hull of the shuttle. There's like a boom, boom, boom that echoes throughout the ship, and up ahead of you, you can see this rogue planet moving quite swiftly. It appears that Obsidian's intel was correct, and that small fragments of the planet are actually like fragmenting and breaking off as it moves, sort of trailing with this cloud of debris and meteors behind it.
What does the instrumentation say? Do we actually have like powerful enough scanners to get any sort of useful readings?
You do indeed. Make me a computers roll. Difficulty 3 due to like the amount of like meteorites and you having to like dodge them as you're doing this. You do, however, get a boost dice because you're being assisted by the protocol droid.
Yeah.
I was going to say I could also assist as well. I know it won't stack, but I would probably take one of the controls anyway. Even though I'm now a bit high and slightly drunk.
So does that amount to anything, or as far as the dice go? If Link is helping me, I mean.
No, it'd just be the standard dice roll.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm gonna... Oh, it's a computer's roll. Yeah, I'm gonna take 2 stress, lower it by 1 difficulty. So difficulty 2 due to my cybernetics.
Mm-hmm.
And here we go.
Uh-oh.
I wasted all my good stuff on the 2 first rolls.
That's it. Well, to be fair, making an astrogation roll is no bad thing to get like a really good success on.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
Okay, so you can see that unfortunately where you've sort of like bought yourself out, you're pretty much sort of like behind it, and you're having to dodge a lot of these like meteor fragments that are like cracking and breaking off the planet. You've picked up that there is a large vessel on the surface of the planet. You're picking up the metallic alloys in its hull and its construction. It's extremely large and apparently sort of circular in construction, but you're not really able to get a more exact read on it because, like I say, you're having to sort of frantically dodge these meteors, etc.
Right, and yeah, I'm gonna... It's a fairly small ship, so we'd probably just yell at each other instead of like an intercom system. So yeah, I'm gonna yell from the cockpit. I suppose Link is there, but I'm gonna yell to Morba.
I'm there with you.
You see Morba's actually got his little screen set up that he communicates with the...
Yeah, which is probably, I don't, because I'm used to talking with intercoms, so I start yelling and then I realize the Morba is actually there with the communication device. So like, yeah, there's more. Oh, yeah, sorry, Morba. There's another presence there. There's a ship, at least one. can't get a lock on it, so we don't know what type, who is in there. But someone is on the surface, and the surface is in the process of being broken apart. What's the approach?
And we are in the asteroid field right now.
Yeah, you're basically you've come in behind the planet, and as it's moving forward, bits of the planet are like breaking off and forming this like stream of like asteroid and fragments behind it.
Oh, cool. I mean, not it's horrible, but okay. I say that maybe try moving out from the asteroid field and try to get a read on the chip.
Yep, I presume that's what we'll try to do, John.
Okay, make me a pilot space roll. The difficulty is 2. However, you have a boost dice from the advantage you got on your computer's roll, since you've sort of mapped where the larger fragments are, so it's easier for you to avoid them.
Difficulty 2, did you say? Yep. Oh.
Okay, feel free to narrate how you expertly avoid all of these nuclear fragments and describe how you align yourself with this rogue planet.
Yeah, so I think Tycho puts the shuttle through its paces, basically kicking into high speed and doing one of his trademark corkscrews through the asteroid field, just barely missing each one of them, just by a few meters. And yeah, I think we like the corkscrew ends not in like a halting stop, but it ends with him just like slowly getting the throttle back to 0, and the ship just drifts into like locked orbit with like, well, it's not actual orbit, but like it's going in orbit above the ship that's on the planet.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. As you perform these daring maneuvers and you glide your ship into hovering just above where this large vessel is, the protocol droid next to you says, "It would appear that your piloting skill is above average."
Right, so I presume that we have a better scan at the ship from this point.
Indeed. As you extend the range of your scanners and you look down at this ship directly below you, you see the vessel that I've pictured there. If any of you have any particular sort of knowledge or skill rolls that you can use to determine more about the identity of the ship, you can obviously make a roll for that. Certainly military would be applicable.
Nope.
Would it doesn't necessarily have to be, but I have Underworld. Would I know if I think I would know if this thing would have been sold on the black market or something? I'm trying to find out that.
All right, you can make me an Underworld roll. The difficulty will be 2, however, one of them will be red.
Okay. I think this is what I owe. Yeah, and I would like to spend a destiny point as well.
Okay.
To make. Oh, cool.
You're aware of, not this particular ship, but you're aware of a few of this type of ship that were sold on the black market. It's what's called a Luca Hulk class droid control ship. They were used a lot by separatists in the closing days of the Clone Wars. They were normally used to sort of from high orbit to transmit control signals to the droid armies of the separatists. They normally carried like an awful lot of like battle droids and that sort of thing.
Cool. Would I know if someone bought it, or who acquired it?
You don't know of anyone acquiring this particular ship. No, I mean, you would guess that this ship's been sort of like crashed here for a while, since this like rogue planet's been sort of wandering about in a large orbit.
Okay. Well, I share what I know, and I often get to the part that this type of ship wasn't exactly the best craftsmanship, and how horrible it is. He's quite salty about the thing, but he doesn't explain why. And then he says, "I think, my friends, we should head to the planet as soon as possible. I fear that the Imperials would have a presence here, but it seems this is just an old Clone Wars ship."
Okay, you're pretty much sort of positioned directly over the top of it. What's the plan, guys?
Maybe lower it gently.
Yeah. John, does the planet appear to have any sort of like active core? By which I mean, when parts break off, is it like a magma apocalypse, or
It doesn't appear to currently have an active core. The chunks that are breaking off are pretty much just rock. You can see from the sort of extreme signs of sort of like the cold on the exterior of this ruined vessel that it's obviously been on this planet for some time, and given that it's a rogue planet and it's been out of the sort of light of any star, the temperatures are presumably going to be really, really low on the surface, and there's practically no atmosphere currently on the planet.
Right. So yeah, I suppose we me and Link in the cockpits. If Link is still capable of actually standing up after the dance party.
Yeah, it's only at 7.
I suppose we take a very careful approach vector.
Okay, make me a piloting space roll, please, Tycho. Difficulty 2. Yep, not a problem. You easily pilot your shuttle down and land it sort of next to this huge circular droid control vessel. You can see the sort of gleaming pattern of frost on the exterior of the vessel. The ground you're currently on occasionally rumbles ominously as the planet slowly breaking up, as previously described. However, as you fly in and you're sort of getting a bit closer, you can see there are a couple of smaller, quite crude looking vessels, which are obviously of newer manufacture, that do not have the pattern of frost on them, which suggests they've only recently landed on the planet. They appear to have landed and extended docking bridges to this round droid control vessel. You're not picking up any signs of transmissions from them, though.
Yeah. They're like small ships, I presume, like really small.
You think that they'd probably each carry no more than half a dozen people.
Yeah. Okay. I presume that Link is there looking at the same readings as I am.
Yep, definitely.
And just
Although a lot of it will go over his head, but he'll still pretend that he's interested in them.
Yeah. Well, like it gets interesting because like I'm pointing out that okay, so we have this many ships there. Each of them carries probably 6 people. So that's actually, John, how many ships were there? The
2.
smaller ones.
2 of them.
2 of them. Right. So there's a dozen potential like scavengers that we have to deal with.
As you're getting a little closer, Tycho, you actually see that these ships look, they're not the same type of vessels, but their sort of manufacture and the way they looks quite similar to some of the smaller Trandoshan vessels that you fought previously.
I bet
Well,
everything's crawling with Trandoshans.
Yeah, and we're all out of Wookiees, unfortunately.
That's not the point. I could take them.
Trandoshans. A dozen of them.
Not all at once. I can do quiet too.
Oh, that will be interesting to see, and I guess we'll see it sooner rather than later. The Trandoshans are terrible with their telemetry and everything, so at least we will have the element of surprise on our side.
Mm-hmm.
And John, I think we will get a docking going on somewhere close by, but not too close to the Trandoshans.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. You bring your ship in and extend a docking bridge to this droid control vessel. Is there anywhere, based on the picture I'm showing you, is there anywhere particularly you want to extend your docking bridge, or particularly you want to land?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is probably like Tycho is asking for input from Morba and Link for this. So do we want to go to either of the wings, or do we just want to go like immediately to like the control bridge, or
Go to one of the wings.
yeah?
If we get ambushed by the control rooms, then we're screwed.
Yeah, I suppose there's more room in the wings.
Yeah.
So let's say that we are going to. I'm going through with that different parts of this. I guess we'll just go in one of the hangars, really, like the middle hangar, zone 2. Let's say that's our landing point.
Okay. So sort of about here-ish.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. You land near one of these large hangars, sort of midway on the left wing of the vessel. You extend a docking bridge. There's a few moments as the sort of automated system like burns a small hole through the hull and then clamps on to secure the docking bridge, effectively making this long, flexible corridor between the two of them. There's a reassuring kung as it locks on, and a green light flashes on board the Hut's shuttle just over this docking bridge to say that it's now fully secure.
And the green light means that the bridge is secure, not necessarily that the atmosphere is good, or does it signify that as well?
It signifies that there is an atmosphere on board the vessel.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Tycho is looking at the control systems, and the green light comes on, lighting Tycho's face up from underneath. Tycho looks very surprised and turns to Link like, "We actually have air." So. Good. That should make things far easier. Though it also makes things very dangerous, because if there's air there, they have systems online still after all this time, and it probably means large reservoirs of energy, and on board a ship of military disposition, that means large probabilities of malfunction of systems and munitions, and we need to be really careful not to touch anything.
Look, we can worry about that when we get in there.
Just saying, don't touch anything. You can touch the Trandoshans.
Oh, I'll do more than touch them.
Right. Is Morba around?
I am. I was muted, and then the moment has passed. Okay. So yeah, at that point, Morba is ready to slide out from the ship. Yeah, he doesn't take any precautions or anything. He doesn't get a weapon or armor. He's very confident.
Okay, so as you all head through this docking bridge into this droid control vessel, you enter what appears to be a large hangar bay. You can see effectively on these armatures hanging from the ceiling are what appear to be a large number of small droid fighters. Both Link and Tycho have encountered them similar vessels before when they were taking the Occulus Tenebris. However, these appear to be in an inert state. Their wings are folded up and they're just hanging from these armatures in the ceiling as though that's where they're stored prior to launch. The air appears quite stale on the ship, although it is breathable. It's clear no one's been on here in some time, and it's extremely cold, as though the sort of temperature control isn't working properly on the ship. As you speak and as you breathe, your breath hisses out in these long plumes of steam.
Okay, so I'll have my my blaster ready, but I'm definitely going to be moving quietly, sort of bracing along the walls.
Absolutely fine. So where are you planning to head to, Link?
I can't see the image very well because it's quite pixelated, but if we're in this wing, then I'll probably move around towards where it's perpendicular to the center dome. So essentially where there's going to be more activity going on.
Okay, so you're making your way sort of around in this direction towards the center of the dome? Or?
Yeah, so anti-clockwise.
Okay, not a problem. You start making your way through these hangar bays. You see more of these armatures with these droid starfighters effectively in an inactive state hung in them. You occasionally see flashing lights in the instrumentations as you move along, but nothing that gives you any real cause for alarm. As you move along, you can see what appear to be large batteries of defensive weapons. All of them currently appear to be inactive, but it seems quite clear that when this vessel was powered up, it would be extremely capable of defending itself.
Let's hope it stays that way.
As you move around, you eventually come across what appears to be some sort of battle droid, although it's quite clearly damaged and it's lying on the floor. One of its arms appears to be missing. It's lying face down on the floor of the cargo bays as you continue to move across it. You would guess by the fact that it's got like dust settled on it, it's not moved for quite some time.
Does it have a gun on it?
Indeed, it has a blaster rifle sort of gripped in its one remaining hand.
Okay. And is it also covered in dust or no?
It is indeed.
All right then. Okay, I know better than to try and touch it or jab it, so I'm going to continue.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Link and Morba, what are you doing? Sorry, Tycho and Morba, what are you doing? Link's obviously heading off through the hangar base towards the central control area of the vessel. What are the rest of you up to?
If there is like an obvious access port, I'd like to jack into the ship's systems, but in case there isn't, I'm going to follow in Link's steps.
Okay, you follow.
Morba.
Sorry, go ahead, Morba.
Morba is just following as well, sliding on this repulsor sled in a fast-pacing speed.
Okay.
He still smokes his hookah and has his dancer holograph turned on, so he's not too concerned.
Okay, as you continue moving, Tycho, you do indeed spot what appears to be a computer access port. It's of a slightly non-standard configuration, but it does appear to be a computer access port. You're not sure what state it's in, though. It appears to effectively be in like a standby mode.
Okay. I guess I'll take a tentative swipe at it, try to awaken it.
Okay, make me a computer's roll. It's difficulty 2, and you have a black dice due to the extended period of time it's been sort of powered down.
Yep.
Okay, you're able to reroute some. The whole thing appears to be running on a sort of a low power setting, as though the vessel's been sort of like powered down to backup generators only. However, you're able to divert enough of that power to get your computer console working. What do you want to do with it?
Right. So first thing, if possible, I'd like to get some schematics so that we can basically see where we're going.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. You pull up the schematics of the ship. You can see that if you carry on in the direction you're heading, you'll eventually reach the sort of main reactors of the vessel, which are about here. Then that is connected to the main control bridge here. The deflector housing is here. And around here, there would be more hangar bays, etc.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll call to Link. Just Link, get in here. Get in here. And then I'll show you the schematics on the screen. So we're here, and presuming that our competitors have gone to the control bridge in an effort to figure out if the Dark Star is here, we'll have to pass through here. And I think you'll agree that if they're going to ambush us, it's going to happen between the reactors and the control bridge.
Yeah. It's a good cut-off point.
Yep. Right. So I think we will proceed, but cautiously.
Oh, yes.
Okay, that's fine. You continue making your way through the vessel. It takes you quite some time. It's quite a big ship. As you continue moving, the droid starfighters sort of give way to what appear to be rank upon rank of these B1 battle droids. All of them hung on these sort of hangars mounted high up in the wall. Each of them is folded up into almost like a fetal position, as though they're sort of in standby, ready for deployment. But you can see from looking at them, Link and Tycho, that there appears to be no power running through the systems that are currently holding them.
While we're passing that, I'd like to make mental notes about the approximate number of fighters we are passing by.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. You would estimate, because like I say, it's probably taking you a few hours to get to the point you're at now. You would estimate that you've probably seen at least a couple of hundred of these fighters as you've walked through these huge hangar bays. And there's probably, as you're walking past these sort of like these effectively standby mode battle droids, you've probably seen at least 80 of those.
Okay.
All in this inactive state. Link, as you're continuing to sort of like move a little bit up ahead, you suddenly spot what appears to be a dark pool of greenish fluid, sort of splattered, for want of a better term, on the floor of the sort of like reactor bay that you're now starting to move through.
Ooh.
What's that?
I would suggest something that we don't touch.
You continue moving around it, and about 10 foot beyond it as you pass through one of the many doors here. Now, most of the doors don't seem to be working fully, and Tycho's having to like sort of route power through each door as you get to it in turn to open them. I'm not bothering to have you make a roll for that, Tycho. With your like mad computer skills, it's not difficult to reroute a bit of power. As you open one of these doors to continue into the reactor bays proper, lying just beyond the door is what appears to be a Trandoshan. He's lying face down on the floor. There's a large wound through his chest, and there's all this greenish blood splattered around it. You can see his arms outstretched. It looks as though he was holding a vibro axe in one hand, and it's now lying a short distance away from him.
So it's actually splattered all over. Right.
Indeed, it looks as though the Trandoshan has taken some sort of like perhaps a blaster wound that's like literally like blasted clean through its torso, and based on the pattern of the blood splattering, it must have been shot in the chamber you've just come from, then like staggered through this door and finally collapsed.
Okay, I'm sort of instinctively holding my gun up at it, expecting that it might start stirring.
What I would like to do is to examine one of the, the Gunban Trandoshan, and I would like to roll streetwise for this, because what I'm looking at is what type of weapon he has been shot dead with, and from my experience, as living in the criminal underworld, just the general type of weapon. I'm not interested in exact, just a blaster, pistol, or hold-out blaster, or.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Make me a streetwise roll. It's difficulty 2.
Okay. Oh.
Okay, you're not entirely sure, but it's definitely some sort of large-scale blaster weapon. You're not sure of the exact type, though.
Okay. After I examine that, I look at Tycho and say, I suspect that this Trandoshan has been shot by one of the activated droid fighters. Look at these wounds. They've been caused by enormous weapons.
Right. Let's hope that there are no more activated droid fighters here, because we don't really. Link is a tough guy. He's been in doing his time, as they say. But I don't.
Could you, my dear friend, please check the computer systems if one of these droids had been activated lately? And if yes, when and by who?
Well, not by Trandoshans, apparently. I just hope that it's not going to be an automated security system. As if there is like a port, then I would like to jack in.
Okay, I'm not going to make you make a roll for it. You jack into one of the ports, and you can see that certainly none of the droids in this section have been activated for like a long time.
Yeah. Can I lock them? Like, can I just like crypt the system for activating any droids?
Okay, make me a computer's roll. It's difficulty 4.
And
one of them is red.
That's rough. Okay. What we are going to do is take 4 strain and drop that by 2. So it's 3 purple then, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, Tycho is jacked in. Like he has his cerebral plug, the extension cord, jacked into the system as well, and he's typing away, and he looks extremely concerned. Like on the screen, we can see like scrolling lists of all the horrible death machines that are just like essentially like a flick away from being activated.
Okay, so make me a roll. Okay, I'm going to say with that amazing roll, you not only manage to sort of lock down, you can't lock down the whole ship, but you lock down this section, definitely, this wing effectively. As you're doing so, however, you also manage to gain like effectively like a complete inventory of all of the sort of forces that are on board. You can see that according to the last inventory, it may have altered, but according to the last inventory, this ship is carrying 50 C-9979 landing craft, 1,500 Vulture droid starfighters, 1,500 Trade Federation troop carriers, 550 multi-troop transports, 6,250 armoured assault tanks. It has a crew of 25 command staff and 150 droids. Listed on the cargo/passenger manifest is 139,000 battle droids and 10 sentients.
Yeah, so Tycho just goes, it's kind of cold here anyway, but like Tycho goes just like white because as he's reading these manifests and lists of capacity.
Morba silently hovers near you with his repulsor slide, and seeing that you look distressed, he hands you a cup of strong alcohol, just for you. Feel good about this, and please, could you save an inventory for me? And he hands you a data stick.
This is like I turn to Morba, still jacked into the system by my head, and I grab the whatever the drink is, I down it in one, and it's just like, sure, I'll take a copy for you. Put your stick in, get the stick out, hand it back.
He smiles and rests his arm on your shoulder lightly and says, "You are good people, Tycho. You are good people. I will remember this." And he hovers away.
You're sort of carrying on, sort of scrolling down the inventory whilst this is going on, obviously like copying it onto this data stick, Tycho, as you're having this conversation. As you get to the bottom of it, you see that it lists 10 destroyer droids, and they're currently flagged as active.
Yeah, and I imagine this is sort of like on the system, it gets like the lists of capacity up front, and then as I scroll through those and be like, oh, this is really bad, and then you get to the end where it's like there's a new header, and underneath that is just like activated, and then it's a new list, and I grab my jack from the system, and I scamper after Morba because he was drifting away.
Okay,
like,
you're just about to disconnect yourself and run after Morba and Link when you notice something a little odd. Most of the code you've been going through is fairly sort of normal binary and lists of data, etc. However, as you get to some of the sort of older code, you see it's in a sort of strange sort of binary that seems to use like 4 digits instead of like just the 2 1s and 0s that normal binary uses.
I seem to remember something like this from our previous interactions with old technology. Is that just me making stuff up, or?
No, it looks very similar to the code you encountered on Quen Station, specifically pertaining to the builder.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm almost, well, I am starting to panic as I was almost going to rip out my jack. And then I like turn back to the console and so like, wait a minute, and start like delving back in.
Okay, what is it you're trying to look for in the system as you're delving back in?
What sort of like subroutines use this specific binary? Like which parts of the ship talk in a different language, essentially, is what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, you think, I'm not going to make you make another roll because you got such a fantastic roll previously. Yeah. As you're sort of exploring the core of the systems on board this droid control ship, you can see that it appears that the sort of central like data core of this computer system is very old, and it appears to be like the central data core that's using this strange 4-digit sort of machine language. And then it's as though the rest of the architecture, the newer stuff has been like laid over the top of it, and that's in more familiar binary to you. It's as though most of the ship is sort of like of a newer, more current design as far as you're concerned, but it's using like a really old data storage core.
Right. At this point, I probably realize that I'm kind of alone in there. Presuming that Link has been going forward trying to find out where the Trandoshans are. So I'd be following them eventually.
Yeah, I would certainly be scouting ahead. Not like going down my way to find them, but certainly, if they're already there or anything.
Okay, so Morba, would you have moved ahead with Link, or are you staying behind with Tycho?
Yeah, I would probably move after Link with this slow pacing machine and reminisce about old times.
So as you guys are reminiscing, you've entered an area which appears to be the transmission or sort of communications area of the ship. It's sat directly over the reactor cores of the ship, so it would be able to draw an awful lot of power from it and like transmit signals extremely far and at a very long range. As they've moved up a little bit ahead, Tycho, you suddenly hear a boom and a clattering of metal from behind you.
Yeah, I turn around, still jacked in by my head cord.
Okay, you spin around, this cord still trailing out the back of your neck, and as you look around, you see that one of the battle droids appears to have like dropped out of the hangar that was holding it. It's just like lying on its side, still curled up in this fetal position.
Quick ping of the system. Did anyone authorize that?
It doesn't appear so. You expect it's just like a mechanical malfunction. Perhaps your rerouting of power has dislodged something, or perhaps it simply just gave way with age. But the droid's obviously still not active.
Yeah, I'm detaching myself from the panel and grabbing my stuff and just running like full pelt after Link.
Yep.
And Morba.
Not a problem. You quickly catch them up. As you're catching them up, Link, as you and Morba continue moving through the ship with Tycho rushing to catch you up, you come across what appear to be 3 dead Trandoshans lying on the central deck of the transmission tower of this ship. They all have similar blaster wounds on them to the previous one encountered.
I look at the corpses and then to Link and
I'm not liking this.
Yeah, but it seems to me, old friend, You would have done a much better job of splattering these dirty lizards over the walls.
That's not the point. Who killed these things?
Probably some activated droids. But our dear computer man, Tycho, shall arrive soon.
Okay, Link, since you're sort of looking at these bodies, can you please make me a perception roll, difficulty 2?
Oh, certainly. Let's see. Okay. So, two. Okay, no problem. Boom.
Okay, as you're looking at these 3 bodies, 2 of them have the sort of large blaster wounds that I described previously, and they've sort of fallen on top of the third one. As you sort of poke them aside with your foot and look at the third one underneath, you can see that the Trandoshan underneath, his head's like twisted at a strange angle as though his neck's broken, but other than that, he has no visible signs of wounds on him.
Out of character, oh, fantastic. I
Like I say, he's lying face down, which is his head.
Yeah, I look at Marlborough and say, what do you think caused this?
And he now looks, he's actually in deep thought. Like, strange. I don't remember hearing droids breaking necks.
Not like that. That must have been caused by him hitting a wall, but where he's lying, that seems like a very tricky maneuver.
Does it look like that the 2 other Trandoshans, the ones that were gunned down in surprise, or they look like they were running to cover or something like that?
It looks as though they were trying to head away from the sort of central commander deck based on how they've fallen.
And does it look like they had their weapons out, or they were shooting back, or resisting?
They don't appear to be armed with blasters or anything along those lines. They're both holding vibro axes. You can see they appear to have the vibro axes out, judging by the way they've sort of fallen around them. But they seem to have been like fleeing away from the commander deck.
And then I say to him, maybe this one with the broken neck was killed before, and these 2 were carrying their comrade to safety.
I'm gonna examine the neck. Are there any kind of bruisings there, or like proof that it's been held?
Okay, you roll the body of the Trandoshan over onto its back to get a better look at it. You don't see any sort of obvious signs of like bruising or contusions around the neck. However, as you roll it over, you see what appears to be a patch of what look like black crystals on its neck. It's strange. It almost looks like the crystals are like growing out of its skin. They're not actually growing as you're watching them, but they're just sort of like a clump of them on its neck.
Morba. These black crystals. What is it? Some kind of specialized bullet?
I try to like lower my body as much as I can with the least possible effort, and look at with my giant orange eye, one of them because the other is blind, and try to examine it. Do I recall anything concerning these crystals?
What sort of skill are you using?
I'm thinking either streetwise, I think, to see my, like, if I know about a sort of special weapon that kills, or poison or something like that kills like that.
Okay, make me a streetwise roll, difficulty 3.
Okay. Oh.
There are a few weapons that use crystals as ammunition. Most of them are designed to like have the crystals sort of break into shards and like shatter on impact as like sort of fletched bullets. There's not really any weapons you can think of that cause like crystals to grow from people.
Well, then I lean back up and I say, my dear Link, I'm not sure if I remember anything that can cause this sort of injury.
As they're having this discussion, you catch up with them, Tycho.
Okay, so good. More dead Trandoshans. That's great. Also, Link, Morba, we have 10. I repeat, 10 active destroyer droids on the ship.
Active?
Yes.
Where?
Don't know.
That makes sense. Now that you mention it, these wounds, they were made by large blasters, and if I recall correctly, the destroyer droids have significant firepower.
Yes, indeed. 10 of them. I don't know where they are or what they're doing or why, but I presume that they are operating on like a defense routine, given that. And then I point at the Trandoshans.
Okay.
Let's not run into them.
Okay, Link, can you make me a perception roll, please? Difficulty 2.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Okay, as Morbert and Tycho are discussing these destroyer droids, you hear the sound of something seemingly rolling towards you from the direction of the commander deck.
Instinctively, I don't know in character that it's destroyer droid since he's never seen one, but he thinks it's something coming or rolling along, so he's gonna get his gun out immediately.
Okay, you pull your gun out. The door to your right, heading towards the command deck, hisses open, and for what all the world appears to be like a metallic wheel, rolls into the chamber that you're in. It stops about 20 feet away from you. It uncoils into this destroyer droid, metal appendages emerging out of it, and there's this like blue sphere, semi-translucent sphere appears around it.
Yeah.
Its appendages unfurl, and you can see these 2 large blasters mounted on each of these appendages.
I immediately hit the deck.
Okay, Morba and Tycho, what are you doing? You've seen this thing roll out and go into its walker mode, effectively.
Do I remember about these droids, any sort of these droids, having an intelligence of sorts, or they are just really the stupid kind of droids?
Okay, do you have any skill that would enable you to know that?
I really don't know what's appropriate. Military or something like that, I guess.
Yeah, military do.
Warfare, I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mechanics, I would suggest.
What is the difficulty?
The difficulty is 2.
I'm going to spend a destiny point.
Mm-hmm.
So I upgrade. But fair enough.
Okay, you seem to remember from what you've heard. I mean, these things aren't really a sort of currently used technology, but from what you remember, they had some sort of basic functionality, but anything that was sort of more difficult or required higher reasoning was normally dealt with by the sort of central computer in an orbiting droid control ship.
Okay, in that case, I would like to turn my repulsor sled facing forward towards the droid, and I immediately press a button. And what the button does is this sort of holoprojector of this dancer lady disappears, opens up, and from under it comes a vehicle-scaled auto blaster turret that has been concealed in this repulsor sled. Exactly. And I would just like to barrage the whole hallway, giving covering fire to Link. This weapon is I'm a shit shot, so I'm really not even trying to aim.
Okay,
just
not a problem. And it's going to take a while for like that to sort of unfold. So the destroyer droid is going to get to shoot before you get to do that.
okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay, Tycho, what are you doing as this destroyer droid unfolds itself and Morbo starts transforming his repulsor sled?
His sled, his death sled. Yeah. So Tycho currently, because he has no need to masquerade as anyone, Tycho is wearing his Sakian shadow suit, and he's going to try and find the closest like crevice he could hide in, and just like pull up the shadow suit hood and try to camouflage himself.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, the destroyer droid opens up with its twin-linked heavy blasters, sort of strafing the area. However, as it does so, Tycho, you can see that it's obviously not in the best of condition. Perhaps its targeting matrix is a little out of alignment, and it sort of strafes the area with these shots, but you guys don't have any trouble avoiding them. It seems to be slowly sort of powering up. It's moving quite slowly at the moment. Okay, Link, ready when?
Okay. I'm contemplating, do I go for the frag grenade?
Well,
Entirely up to you.
I guess if you want to disclaim responsibility, you probably make some sort of roll. But if you want to take it into consideration, the Tycho was actually going on about the munitions in this place, and we are currently in like the power generation parts of the ship.
Yeah. No, I will instead just go full pelt with my blaster rifle at this droid. Hopefully it can break through the shields.
Okay, make your shot. The difficulty will be 3, and since it's activated its force field, the destroyer droid has 3 defense.
I literally just heard the difficulty will be no number.
3. And the droid has 3 defense as well, which if I remember correctly adds 3 setback dice.
Oh, fantastic. It's not a stealth roll either. Okay, never mind. I think because of those defense dice, I think I'll spend a destiny point as well.
Okay.
Boom.
Okay, what is your damage?
It is 9.
Okay, so that goes up to 11 points of damage. You fire this devastating barrage into this destroyer droid. Despite its force field, it staggers back a little under the impact. You see several parts of it get blown off and clatter into the chamber behind it. However, it still continues moving. Morbo.
Okay, so what I basically want to do is just give covering fire. I just aim in the general direction. But since this is a vehicle scale weapon, like it only does 3 damage, but each point of damage counts as 10.
Yep.
I imagine this is not made for personal combat. So I don't even think I could just aim at the guy. It's more like a covering fire what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So what I'll do is, for the covering fire, if you make your roll, and I'll effectively apply the successes you get as setbacks to when the droid's firing.
Okay.
If you see what I mean.
Sure. what the difficulty is.
It's difficulty 3 with 3 setback dice.
All right. I'm not going to hit.
3 points.
I don't think that helps. I have a whole one green, so. Yep.
Okay, so you launch this barrage of covering fire with your sort of vehicle-sized weapon. However, most of the shots that go in the direction of the destroyer droid seem to like patter off this translucent sphere of force field energy that is around it. Tycho.
Can you tell me if it would be an entirely lost cause to try and remotely basically hack the droid?
It's possible. It would be very difficult, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like in because I'm like flattened against a bulkhead. It's just like pull out my pad and start like frantically tapping on it with the intent of, if not taking over the droid, which I'm aware is going to be very difficult. I just want to try and short out the shield. Something to that effect.
It's going to be difficulty 3, and one of them is red.
Grand.
Oh, not too bad.
Could have been worse.
Okay, so you basically manage to hack into the system, and what effectively you do is you replicate like the signal that it would get from the droid control ship, telling it to like power down its force field. At which point you see there's this, and the blue sphere around it ceases to exist. At which point it then opens fire again with its weapons. And remarkably, perhaps due to the interfering from Tycho with its programming, entirely misses you all again. As it's about to, as you see the guns squeezing around and about to let off this devastating salvo, Tycho, you're effectively able to throw off its tracking parameters by a short amount, giving you guys time to duck out of the way. The wall behind you gets chewed up by these heavy blaster bolts. Link.
Yeah, I imagine I'm lying like face down on the ground at this time as the walls just disintegrate around me.
Pretty much. What are you doing, Link?
I'm gonna zap the thing when I see that the shields have gone down and it's just done a flurry of blasters that just hasn't hit anything near us, so.
Okay, that's fine. It's only difficulty 2 now because its force fields are down.
Yep, and no setback.
Nope.
No setback dice.
No setback dice at all.
Cool.
Okay, feel free to describe how you destroy this destroyer droid.
Okay, so I sort of zip round, realize, oh, it's finished firing, and there it is. Okay, and I shoot 3 times, right in its center, and there's this like small, slightly pathetic explosion, but all its parts just go slinging everywhere, hitting the wall.
Indeed, its head, for want of a better term, sort of lands at your feet, and then after a few seconds, the red glow of its visual receptors just fade away to nothing.
How many of these did you say there were, Tycho?
9. There's 9 now. I stand up, just like bits of, I guess, still glowing metal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm brushing them off of my Sakion shadow suit, and I just like surveyed the devastation, because we had the droid on one side just like doing blind fire essentially, and on our side Morba doing the very same thing. So like this hangar bay is just a mess.
Yeah, pretty much it looks like some sort of blaster-based apocalypse has taken place in this chamber now. The walls are chewed up. You're pretty much sure that there's going to be no chance of you accessing any of the equipment that once was in this now ruin of a communications section.
Yeah, I think we... Well, it's a simple equation. Either we go forward, risk 9 more of these, or we turn back now.
I think
One of them I can take, but if 9 are all together,
I don't think they are coordinated based on how this one was behaving. I don't think there is a central node anymore, or if there is, it's powered down.
then we move forward, but we've got to keep it down.
The Trandoshan's were here looking for the Dark Star. Maybe the Dark Star is on this machine that has been sent to recover, but failed to do so and stuck here, derelict. And now the Trandoshans are here. I think we must press on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do you guys plan to go round into the other wing on the opposite side of the ship, or are you heading for the control bridge?
I vote for the control node because, I say this as we come to the fork in the road. I say we go to the control bridge because I can access systems from there.
I was assuming we were going to go there anyway, to be honest. So yeah, I'm happy with that.
The only consideration here is that there might be someone in the second wing and they will be able to cut us off, but that's a risk we have to take then.
In that case, I'll probably bring up the rear.
Right then. And Morba, do you mind if I ride in the back?
No, of course. Please take a seat. And then you notice that there is actually a place next to Morba for 2 human-sized individuals, complemented with the chairs and cushions and pillows. Of course, not as glorious as his own, but still pretty good. And there is even a mini bar next to it.
Yeah, well, I hop on then.
Okay.
So we have Morba, the disgustingly obese space slug, and then Tycho now in his weird ninja suit. Just rolling along.
And you slowly make your way through towards the control tower, the central sort of bridge of this vessel, if you will. The section you're moving through at the minute appears to be the deflector shield section. You can see, Tycho, as you're going past, you can see familiar equipment that you recognise as like deflector shield generators and generator housing, etc. as you start making your way through. You still don't appear to have seen any signs of any crew yet. However, as you're making, apart from the droids obviously, as you're making your way through, however, can you make me a perception roll, please? Morba and Tycho, since you're at the front. It's difficulty 2.
Sure. I think I'm good at that. Oh, not terribly good at it.
Well, there's destiny points.
Yeah, sure, I can spend one. Yeah, it was necessary to spend it.
Okay, and yourself, Tycho?
Oh, right.
Yeah, because you have the setback dice. Right.
Yeah, never mind. I wasn't looking. And I still saw it.
Oh.
No.
Okay, so as you're sort of slowly sailing through this deflector area of the vessel, Morva, you notice what appears to be so on the wall, sort of fairly low down near the floor as you make your way past. There's what appears to be another patch of these black crystals growing out of the wall.
I slow down my sled and point towards the crystals. And those crystals again.
What do you mean again?
Oh, you haven't seen. One of the Trandoshans were seemingly killed by crystallic growths on his neck. Eerily similar to these ones, only these ones grow on the ship.
What was the Trandoshan shot with a blaster in addition?
No.
Nothing at all.
I advise you not to touch these crystals.
Yes, that's it could be and then like Tycho like struggles because it could be a biohazard, but then it's not. It's a silica, so. But yes, don't touch it. Especially if Trandoshans die, then we probably will as well.
Okay, so you continue making your way through, eventually arriving at the control bridge tower. It's a large spherical section at the centre of the ship with a backup communications tower built into it. You can see what appears to be all of the normal sort of computer consoles you'd expect to see on a control bridge of a ship this size. They all appear to be powered down and on sort of backup or emergency power, and lying, obviously been dead for quite some time, so strewn around this deck are what you assume to be the crew. They're a bizarre looking species with green skin, most of them wearing like tattered robes. They all appear to have various sort of cybernetic enhancements to them.
I look around the corpses. Do I see any crystals on them?
Indeed, each of the corpses has a patch of these crystals seemingly growing out of them.
Where on their body? Is it random?
It would appear to be random. There's no pattern that you can discern to them.
Look at this. Neimoidians. They were clearly killed by these crystals.
John, are the crystals growing especially on the organic parts, or are they growing on the cybernetics as well?
They appear to be growing on the organic parts.
That's a very interesting infection, and I suppose we should be calling it an infection at this point.
If I look at the crystals and growth, do I see a returning pattern in the growth of the crystals? Is it always looking the same?
Make me a medicine roll, difficulty 2.
Okay. Now I won't have all my setback dice, and I use one of these again. Good.
You notice on most of these bodies that the crystals appear to be sort of concentrated around like the face, the head, and the neck area.
But the way the crystals themselves grow, like are they always in the similar pattern, like a circle or a triangle or whatever?
They appear to be growing out in a sort of like a four-pronged sort of shape almost.
Okay. Well, I just have a think, but I don't say anything. Do you think, my dear friends, that these deaths have anything to do with Dark Star?
More than likely. I think we're dealing with a biological warfare agent of some kind, which isn't in my wheelhouse at all. And let the record say that I am very concerned about our mission right now.
I look around to see. There are usually droid crews also on these ships in the command center. Are there any disabled, destroyed droids?
Oddly enough, no, you don't see any droids at all on the command deck. Which strikes you as a little odd.
Yes, take a mental note of this.
Okay, Tycho, as you're looking around, you can see what appears to be sort of seated in the main sort of central command chair is one of these corpses, effectively like slumped over the instrumentation panel built into the armrest of the chair.
Sorry, you cut out. What was slumped on?
It's one of the crew in the central command chair is slumped over the instrumentation built into the arm of the chair.
Yeah. I presume they are growing crystals as well.
Indeed, there appears to be a patch on the back of the neck.
I guess I would be looking for, like, I don't know, command access ports, something like that.
You think most of that equipment is probably built into the equipment in the chair that you presume the captain is sat in.
Yeah. Is the figure like hardwired in any way? Like, are they connected with cybernetics to the chair?
It's not hardwired. It's difficult to tell the extent of the instrumentation though, because his body's slumped over it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to very tentatively push them back.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Can you please make me a discipline roll, difficulty 3?
Probably not. Yep.
Okay, so you roll the body off this instrumentation. As you do so, for no reason at all, you suddenly find yourself growing incredibly angry at the situation you're currently in.
So, if possible, because Tycho isn't incredibly strong or anything, I think, regardless of any like cybernetic connections that the corpse may have, Tycho is gonna just like violently yank the corpse out of a chair to cast it aside.
Okay, so Morba and Link, you're a little bit surprised, to be honest, when after sort of like looking around at this corpse that's slumped in the command chair, Tycho just like hauls it violently off the chair onto the floor and then starts like putting the boot into this corpse while it's lying on the floor. So quite vicious.
What the hell is wrong with you?
I don't answer you at all. I just make, I guess, not a bloody mess because it's a corpse that's probably quite dry, but I just like smush the face and the head completely.
Indeed, as he's kicking it, as he rightly says, it is a very dried and almost partially mummified corpse. As he's kicking it, this thing's like disintegrating into dust that's like drifting up into the air as he just continues to like kick it.
Yeah, it's just like stomping on it until it exists
a body
no
has
more.
no use to anybody dead. It's no fun. I don't understand this rage you've got to kick a dead body into oblivion.
And then Tycho is just standing next to the command chair, just like...
After a few moments, Tycho, the sort of anger, like, as quickly as it came, starts to fade away.
I don't like that corpse. And as I try to desperately figure out what I actually did, I turn to the command chair and just sort of lean on it and like breathe deep, trying to figure out what just happened. But yeah, I don't like explain myself at all to you.
When Tycho destroyed the corpse, what happened with the crystals?
He's pretty much stomped on those as well, and now they're like sort of lying in many shattered shards amongst the dusty remains of the corpse.
I examine the crystals from far away, like I just look at them, and I do not approach. I sort of rub my chin as I hum into myself, like,
Yeah, you lean over and look at these crystals from a safe distance, rubbing one of your many chins as you sort of contemplate them. They're these very dark, almost sort of black crystals that almost seem to like absorb light, so they're you don't see any of the light sort of shining off them. It's almost like they're tiny little shards of darkness lying on the deck of this command room.
How fine they break? Would it be possible for them, when Tycho stumbled on them, to break into sort of dust that he could have breathed in?
It's quite possible some of the fragments broke off and were small enough to be dust. There are some larger fragments, but not enough to make up the entire patch of crystal. So certainly some of them have got dusted.
Okay. Well, I don't do anything.
Okay, can you please make me a discipline roll, Morbo?
Me?
Difficulty 3.
Oh yeah, I'm really good at that. My discipline is 2 yellow, 2 green. Ah, where is the dice roller? Difficulty 3?
Mm-hmm. Okay, for a split second as you're looking at these crystals, Morbo, you feel incredibly afraid of the situation that you find yourself in, but it's just for an instant and then it just passes.
Okay, well, I'm quite used to fear. Fear is a great technique of mine. And I immediately get a hunch that I'm not normally afraid. That's one of his defining character traits. So I immediately start to suspect that these crystals have some way of modifying one's behavior. And so far that manifested itself in rage and even temporary fear. So I'm most interested in these crystals as of now. And I look at Link and see what he's going to do, if anything.
They have no use to me. Not really. If you think that they are worth taking, Morbo, then let's do it.
Interesting. I look at Link with a great big smile and say, Link, old friend, you are more agile than I am. Could you scoop some of those crystals up? Careful not to touch them. Just put them in some sort of container. I'll wait here.
Okay, so I'm gonna have probably look around for some kind of container, anything sort of improvised, and I'll probably use one of my instruments to sort of scoop a little bit up.
Yeah, that's not a problem. You can easily find some sort of container and you start one of your knives like scraping some of these crystals into it. Can you make me a discipline roll, difficulty 3?
Yeah. What's this discipline you speak of? Oh, not bad.
Okay, while I'm watching, I'm really carefully looking at Link and his reactions when he gets near the crystals.
Okay, so Link, as you're scraping these crystals into your improvised container, for a few seconds you feel this overwhelming hatred for the people who are on this ship, these horrible creatures that are now sort of lying dead and once stomped at your feet. But again, it's only for a split second and then it passes.
There you go.
Do I notice? Thank you. Do I notice anything during Link's scooping of? Do I see his fear for a second?
Well, it's more hatred. But would you have shown any sign of that, Link?
I have a fairly permanent scowl.
You might have noticed Link's scowl deepen slightly, but nothing major.
Okay. Well, I take a mental note of this, and when Link gives me the container, I ceremoniously just pretend to bow, like I can't really, and I'm most grateful for this, my Link, Link, my old friend. Remember, make me remember sometime. I shall compensate you. You were liking Corellian whiskey. Was that your favorite?
Oh, it's been a long time really since I've been able to talk about such things being my favourite. But yeah, I remember the taste of Corellian whiskey. It was one of my favourites. Yes.
Okay, well, you can expect a bottle of it when we get back.
I say thank you in Huttese.
Okay, so while this conversation is going on, Tycho, what have you been doing with the instrumentation?
I'm like, for the first little while, I was contemplating on putting my fist through like the nearest screen. Well, I guess there's no screen on the because it's like a command throne, right?
Indeed. You don't notice any sort of screen. However, there is a hollow emitter built into the armrest of the chair, presumably for receiving
So I spent like the first little while just contemplating on like smashing the hollow emitter, and then eventually I just sort of like reach out and start fumbling around for, I don't know, any sort of like activation studs on the armrests of the throne, trying to bring it to life.
Okay, you fumble around with the instrumentation for a few moments, then you locate one of these activation studs, and as you press it, a flickering blue outline appears over the hollow emitter. It looks extremely reminiscent of the corpse that was seated previously in this command chair that you've reduced to a fine misty powder. It would appear to be some sort of log or something similar.
Yep. I try to make it play.
Okay. You fiddle around with it for a bit, and after a few moments you hear this deep and slightly mechanized voice saying, "The Separatists are taking heavy losses. It is clear that the Jedi are responsible for more than 80% of our casualties. Without their power to prop up the corrupt Senate of the Republic, this war would have been won a long time ago. However, they are our downfall. They may also be our salvation, once they have been appropriately processed. Synthesization of the crystals will begin immediately."
I turn to look back at Link and Morba. It's like, did you hear that?
I nod. This is interesting. Please, Tycho, would you kindly look at the computer systems of the ship, the main computer, and see the purpose of their presence on this planet?
Yeah, I guess I would have to go somewhere else to do that, or does the throne actually, is there any power in it?
There is indeed power running through the command throne. You've had to like reroute some sort of subroutines and some of the emergency power, but that's fine.
Right. So, if I can, I'd get back into the systems and probably try and locate the destroyer droids.
Okay, as you're sort of entering the system, you can, as well as you locate the other destroyer droids. They appear to be in the other wing of the ship. There are 9 of them, all active, although they don't currently appear to be patrolling. They all appear to be stationary. You can also see that there are 2 further log entries stored in the system.
Good. Well, as long as the droids aren't moving, Tycho is satisfied with that. 2 more log entries. Yeah, I guess we'll start with those.
Okay, you play the next one in sort of chronological order, and the same sort of hollow transmission appears and says, the recovery of the spherical data node discovered in the ancient ship has allowed us to improve our calculation matrix by 300% and make great leaps forward in the project.
Next.
Okay, you play the last one in chronological order, and this time the slightly mechanized voice of the individual sounds a little bit more panicked and says, one of the subjects has broken free and seems to be interfacing directly with the data node. It's killed most of the crew and seemingly deactivated the droids on board. Then you hear what appears to be a sound like a humming noise, or perhaps a crackling of electricity. The hollow image flickers and disappears, and there's a loud mechanized scream emitted from the hollow emitter. Then it just flashes up this 3D writing revolving above the hollow transmitter saying, transmission interrupted.
So my friends and companions, the situation is as thus. They have scavenged an ancient data core, which I am sort of familiar with. I have some ideas as far as that, which I presume, it sounds pretty fantastical, but I think they may have captured a Jedi and used the knowledge from this ancient data core to synthesize this crystalline material, and they created their enemy while doing so, which, if this log is to be believed, they interfaced with the system of the ship. So they have a biomechanical crystalline Jedi somewhere below decks.
Your imagination runs wild. I'm sure there is nothing so drastic here, but let us progress. This sounds like what we are looking for.
Yes, well, it will be dead by now, at least the biological parts of it.
Well,
So
we still must examine it.
yes, just the threat is probably less now.
However, as you're sort of having this conversation, you're still sort of rooting through the data logs and the system Tycho, you come across one more surprising piece of information. And this is where we're going to go into our tide change for the evening. And the tide change is going to be what surprising information about this vessel and the project that was going on there does Tycho manage to find inside the computer system. So since you're the one finding it, Tycho, I'm going to go to you first.
I think I think it's the last update on the project, and it's about this expert that they have acquired that will they have some special knowledge about the Jedi and is their enemy. So they have acquired an enemy of the Jedi, like for a project aid of some kind.
Okay, lovely. Okay, Jason, what does Tycho find surprising in the computer system?
He finds a Trandoshan, mostly covered in a cloak, kneeling at the feet of a Sith Lord.
Nice. I see you went for the subtle approach with the tide change there. Love it. Okay, and last but by no means least, Morbo, what does Tycho find?
Okay, so Jason stole my idea. So
Sorry.
Okay, Okay, maybe that this wouldn't be something that we would find important as characters, but what if the last message to the project was from Darth Sidious himself, and says that abort the mission, and I have saved the files, and I shall restart the project sometimes in the future, along the lines of that.
Okay, thank you very much. So for anyone who's watching this, what we're going to do now is I'm going to post these in a poll in the Tides of Change Facebook group. We're going to have a 15-minute break, and then we will come back to the game, and whichever one gets most votes will be the plot twist that we go forward with. So I will catch you all in 15 minutes, guys.
I'm here.
Splendid. How's the session going for you at the moment?
I enjoy it. I like Morba.
He's pretty cool as far as characters go, man.
I think it will work really well with Andrew.
That's it. It'll be interesting to see what you two guys can concoct between yourselves.
Yeah. It's a shame he can't make it today.
That's all right. I'm sure you and Ralbac can get up to all sorts of nastiness once he's like out of that back to tank.
Yeah. It's pretty much granted. Did I seem a bit slow today?
No, it's fine. Like I say, I was just aware it's a bit of a contrast with the last session, because obviously it was pretty much like wall-to-wall space battles last session.
No. I just have a what's it called, hookah here, getting in character.
Good skills.
Trying to keep it low burner. So
I'm glad I have a day off tomorrow. I'm just saying that.
I've technically got a day off, but what I've actually got is like a day of like more driving Hannah about, and then obviously running Dungeon World in the evening. So.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even see on the voting. How does it look like?
Oh, it's a tie.
Splendid.
That's never good.
It's always good. It just means we get to like use more than one of them combined.
Yeah. Given how awful I am making these usually, that's not good the more we have.
I'm sure it'll be fine. What could go wrong?
Eventually, I'll come up with a tide change that someone will vote for. I'm sure of this.
I shouldn't worry about it, man. I sometimes think in Mike's games, I suggest like the most ridiculous tide changes just to see if anyone will actually vote for him. If all else fails, I'll normally fall back on the and then a Star Destroyer appears.
Yeah, I was actually, when I went to get something to eat, I was like, God damn it, I should have gone with like, it's a message from Birdo.
I was actually very tempted to put something about Birdo in there.
What do you mean, just like, and I've rigged this ship to explode. Fuck you, Tycho. Fuck you.
Yeah, basically. Trollolol.
Oh, but then we had to get like a starfighter and fly out of the thing and say, now this is pod racing.
Now this is pod racing.
Yippee!
Terrible sequence.
No.
Okay.
Oh, have you seen that? That there's like a video on YouTube of various scenes of Darth Vader, but he's been overdubbed with Anakin's voice.
No.
Like young Anakin. Oh my god, it's so cringy, but it's kind of funny at the same time.
Okay. Is everyone ready to jump back in?
Yes.
Okay, so as you're sort of still fiddling around with the system, Tycho, you accidentally sort of unlock some of the backup recordings. It appears as though they've been previously deleted, but obviously evidence of them is still in the system since they've not been overwritten. And as you activate them, the first is the scene of what appears to be a Trandoshan wearing long black robes. He's kneeling before a slightly smaller figure, also wearing these dark black robes. Speaking in sort of quite an old, crackled sounding voice, this more human looking figure says, "And if my first apprentice should fail me, then I have no doubt that you will succeed where he has failed. Now rise, Darth Sanguinus." At which point the Trandoshan figure stands up, pulls this black hood over its head and says, "Yes, my master." And that record terminates. The next record that plays appears to be the same hooded humanoid figure. You can just make out a sort of vague impression of a humanoid face below the brim of this hood. And it says, "Right, Iambo, you are to cease your experimentation immediately. I have your files, and we will reinvigorate this project at a later date of my choosing." At which point you hear the robotic voice of this Techno Union member saying, "Yes, of course, I understand. It will be done." Then you hear what appears to be a communication, presumably between him and the rest of his crew, saying, "Take the subject out of cryogenic suspension, keep him sedated, prepare to have him shipped." You can see from the timestamp that this is immediately before the last panicked recording about the subject getting loose.
Yeah, as the hollow flickers out, I turn to Morba and Link just to gauge their reactions.
Well, that's unexpected.
Morba is keeping his Bazak face. He doesn't look overly impressed. A raised eyebrow is maybe all you get from him.
Okay, what's the plan, guys?
So we proceed
Yeah.
to the data core. One
Okay.
presumes.
You make your way through the ship towards the data core, which you've obviously downloaded the schematics of the vessel, Tycho, so you can pretty much head straight there. As you enter the data core chamber, you can see that sort of set high up in the ceiling of this chamber with lots of cables, wires and fibre optics running from it is what appears to be a smooth metallic sphere. Occasionally sort of random symbols in a language that you're not familiar with sort of flash across its surface.
And there's no sign of the crystals here.
You can see that directly beneath the data core is a large patch of these black crystals. You notice from the angle, it's almost as though they're all sort of growing towards this data core.
And the data core, sorry if you explained this, but maybe you cut out. So the data core is a sphere, and it's like levitating in the air.
No, it's sort of set in the ceiling of this chamber with lots of cables and fibre optics running from it.
Yeah, right. Now I get it. So how big of a crystal growth are we talking? Like a meter, like 2 meters?
Yeah, they're about a metre tall, and you can see they appear to have. It's almost as though they were trying to grow to like reach this data core, but they're still quite some distance shorter. Although it might be your imagination, Tiger, but as you stare at them for a prolonged period, it's almost as though they're still growing, but just very slowly.
Yeah. Okay. I after a brief period of quiet, I turn to Link and Morba. So, shall we decide now that the dark star is the data core above this chamber? What is your opinion?
Well, if it isn't, we're back to square one. It seems like the only thing it could be to me.
Yep. Okay, let's see. Is there a control panel of some kind, John?
There are numerous control panels in the wall and that sort of line this station effectively.
Just trying to detach it. Like,
Okay,
eject data core.
Make me a computers roll. Difficulty 2.
How difficult?
2. Okay, so you press effectively the eject button on these control panels. There's a and this data core drops directly down into this patch of crystals, splintering several of them.
Right. So we harvest this, put it on Morba's sled. Because it's not like a massive, like Indiana Jones squishy boulder.
It's about the size of a football.
Yeah. So, I'll go and grab it.
Okay, now it's in the middle of this patch of crystals that it's dropped down into the middle of. How do you intend to get out?
Yeah, so it actually, it just came like straight down, like splintering the crystals as it came, and then just stayed there.
Yeah, you notice that there are these sigils in like red, sort of moving over the surface of it.
Yep. I'm picking it up from the mess of crystal.
Yeah, it's effectively just this big pile of like crystals now with this thing sat on top of it, and you reach out to grab it. Okay, can you please make me an athletics roll? Difficulty 3.
That's a surprise.
Okay, you're just about to reach out to grab this data core when you notice that like the crystals appear to be like moving and shifting as though there's something underneath them.
Yeah, the thing that they're actually growing out of, one presumes. Yeah. So you tell me if I can do all of this. So I wanna like swipe the data core away from the crystal and then just start like stomping on the crystals, like pushing my boots down because I'm thinking something's coming up from there.
Okay, you obviously Link and Morba, you can see this going on. Tycho knocks this data crystal, it rolls to one side of these crystals. As you lift your foot up to stomp on the crystals, what appears to be an arm wearing a black glove bursts out of this mound of crystals. You can see various bits of crystal like studded into it, and what to your mind, Tycho, seem to be various bits of cybernetics implanted in this fairly human looking arm. As this arm bursts out, sort of lifts itself up, you see Tycho like sort of levitates a couple of feet off the floor and like hangs in the air.
I'm spinning in the air, trying to get to my blaster, which is like secured on my belt. I'm just
Okay, as you watch these crystals start falling aside and you see this human figure wearing these tattered clothes, it has like a shaved head with various cybernetics implanted in its face and its limbs, and you see like sporadic growths of this crystal emerging out of its pale skin, sort of emerge out of this mound of crystals, still holding its arm like that. Tycho's like in midair trying to get to his blaster. What are you doing, Lincoln Morba?
So these crystals that have fallen down, how big are they? Are they just like little sprinkles of it, or
They're in various different size chunks. Some of them are fist size, some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller.
okay? I'll probably try and harvest a bit more of it then if I can.
Okay, not a problem. So while this like figures emerging from the crystal, so like levitating, Tycho, you start like swiping some of them into your satchel with your knife. That's not a problem. What about yourself, Morbo?
I would like to examine this figure.
Okay, it appears to be a human wearing, like I say, tattered rags. It's been extensively modified and fitted with various cybernetics. You can see one of those sort of cybernetic like brain enhancements around the back of its skull. It also has patches of these crystals growing out of its flesh. One of its eyes has been entirely replaced by a cybernetic eye. The other one sort of like staring madly around it. It's still holding its hand up as it steps out of the crystals, seemingly levitating Tycho off the floor.
Does it appear to be like? Does he appear to be conscious and everything, or is just like?
Tycho's entirely conscious. He's currently trying to like scrabble around.
Not Tycho, the guy who is stepping out.
Yeah, he seems conscious. He's literally stepping out, like you say. He's lifting Tycho up off the ground.
Yeah, but
strange
does he look like he's blinded by rage or something? Does he appear to be?
His expression appears to be quite calm.
Okay, in that case, I look at him and I say this to him in a quite loud and deep voice. Oh, my friend, there is no need for hostilities. Please let my associate down.
Okay, make me a negotiation roll, difficulty 3.
Okay. Let me see my skills in that. Okay. And roll. Wow.
Okay, he lowers his arm. Tycho, you just drop to the floor. He looks over at you and says, "Species, hut, confirmed."
I look at the droid man, cyborg sort of crystal person, and please, can you identify yourself?
Subject Dark Star.
Interesting. Would you be able to tell me about yourself a bit, just to get this conversation going? I smile.
It just looks at you.
Interesting. Meanwhile, I look at Tycho with my eye. What is he doing?
Well, when he drops to the floor, he stops scrambling for his blaster and instead brings out his little datapad and is equally frantically like smashing something on it.
Okay, well then I turn back to this cyber person and say, well, Project Dark Star, can you tell me what are you doing here?
It just stares at you.
What was your last objective, Project Dark Star?
Terminate intruders.
I see. And I see you have done that.
Mission 100% successful.
Alright, and now you lack directives. Is that correct?
Currently processing.
I see. Well, the situation is that your former masters have been, how to say, decommissioned by time. You have no current superior on this ship.
It stares at you.
Oh, that doesn't look good. Tycho, please, would you remind me what was the last order given out to the ship?
Well, the last order that we are aware of was shut down the project.
Interesting. Well, my thinking is this Project Darkstar.
Sorry, as you say that the last order was to shut down the project, Tycho, as the phrase shut down the project leaves your mouth, the figure turns to look at you and says, threat warning, and it begins walking. It begins like moving quickly towards you.
Yeah, and what I wanted to try to do is figure out if they have like a control mechanism for this creature in the system.
Okay, make me a computer's roll. Difficulty 3, and one of those is red.
Let's see. Because it's advancing on Tycho, and Tycho is very scared of it. He will, because he is a master slicer, he will use some strain, now down to 4, to make that 3 purple instead. And
okay, as you're sort of in the system, you can see there doesn't appear to be a direct command protocol for this thing in the system. However, it appears to be sort of communicating on some sort of sub-level with the data core, like receiving directives from the data core.
While the droid is approaching Tycho, I raise my voice again and, Project Darkstar, I assure you there was no mention of us trying to shut down the project, so to say. We are very much aiming you to keeping you functional.
As the phrase "shut down the project" leaves your lips, it says "secondary threat detected," and it throws out a hand in your direction, and there's an ominous creaking sound from your sled.
Okay. Fuck.
As it holds its hand out, you notice that some of the metal exterior of your sled starts to buckle.
Oh, well, that's not good.
Oh, okay. As that's happening, I'm gonna see what's happening. I could probably hear the sound of the metal buckling. I'm gonna turn. Probably. I mean, I don't really care that much about the dark stuff. Sort of casually drop it, or sort of lay it down, not very carefully. Turn around and switch my gun to stun, and just try and bop him one.
Okay, make your roll. Difficulty 2.
Yep. Do I get 1 or 2 blue dice? 1.
Okay, you fire several shots using your stun setting into this cyborg, effectively. However, the energy from your shots appears to actually be absorbed into the crystals that are studded on its skin.
Okay.
Its only response is to say, power now at 100%.
What?
Again, there's like a
John,
sound from the slide as it's slowly like crunching up. You know, like if you see a car in like a compactor, imagine that, but in slow motion as it's slowly being like squished inwards.
I would like, I don't know, can I intimidate a droid?
You can certainly
Is that
have
a
a go.
thing? Okay.
Difficulty 3.
Does it have any black dice? Because I remove all of them.
It would do normally, but as you say, you remove all of them.
So what's my question? Oh, wow. Yeah, so I try to just shout at the cyborg person droid and say, Project Darkstar, cease all hostilities. This is an order.
Okay. As you shout that at this cyborg, it says, Prime Directive, protect the data core. And it begins moving towards Link holding the data core, and it sort of lowers its hand. Your sled ceases to creak.
Okay, that's not good either. I shout over to Link that, Link, pass the data core to it. Quickly.
Okay, I sort of outstretch a hand, trying not to show to the others that I'm shaking slightly.
Okay, it takes the data core off you, walks across the room, sort of directly under where it was previously situated in the roof, holds a hand out. This data core just hovers up out of its hand back into its setting in the roof, at which point the figure kneels down underneath it and lowers its head.
Well, that seems to be sorted.
I'm still lying on the ground with my datapad. I look at Morba, Link, maybe if I can see them at the same time. It's like, what? Do we want to haul this creature back, or do we just want the data core?
No, I don't think.
The data core back over.
I don't think the data core moves without this being, and also this is Project Darkstar. I believe. I look at Link and Tycho and try to signal with my eyes that be careful what you say. I think we were told to acquire more information about it.
Well, more information we certainly have found out about it.
I think it would aid the consortium's efforts greatly if we recovered more than information.
Yes, and there's almost literally no time.
I believe, Tycho, you are a great expert in the field of computers. Could you maybe have the droid accept us as superiors?
So, John, computer wizardry. Project Darkstar gets its directions from the data core, and there's like no direct link.
Not
right?
that you can see.
Yeah. Can I find a part of the system that tells the data core what to do?
You can make me a computer's roll, difficulty 3.
Come on! I will re-roll that because I have a natural programmer. I can re-roll this once per session.
Oh.
That
That's
is
fine.
bullshit. That
That is also bullshit.
Oh, bless.
Okay, as you're sort of fiddling around in the data core, you don't manage to find any sort of way, like I say, it's just in this quite sort of alien sort of 4-digit code. As you're fiddling around with it, though, however, suddenly your data display goes blank, and in sort of basic, up on the screen of your data core, the text, "Who are you and what do you want?" appears on your datapad.
Sorry, you cut out. What appears on the datapad?
Simply the text saying, "Who are you and what do you want?"
Just put in Tycho Madar. I want to salvage the project.
Explain.
Project located in area which will disintegrate very rapidly over the next couple of solar rotations. Aim to salvage project and save it.
There's a few moments of silence, then on your screen it says, "Scans confirm instability of planet, powering up systems." And it's like all the lights on the ship start to like, and you hear the sound of like the reactors firing.
Query. Where are we going?
Powering up drive systems to leave disintegrating planetoid.
Destination? Question mark.
As yet unconfirmed.
Propose following coordinates. And
Explain.
Presence of friendlies, repair facilities.
Identify friendlies.
How do you tell a computer about criminal syndicates? Just say repair yard.
Confirmed. Input coordinates.
Yeah, and I'll put down the place that we left Obsidian Command in, the Trandoshan operation.
Okay, a few moments later, with your shuttle still attached to it, the large droid control ship begins to rise from the surface of the disintegrating planetoid, all of its thrusters firing.
Is there, like, I'm gonna check the drive, I'm gonna check the generators. Is this thing going to actually jump, or is it just gonna end up with us in a ball of plasma?
It appears as though the drives are functional. They were just powered down. All of the systems are now slowly being brought online, one after another.
Okay, well, satisfied that we're actually not facing imminent death, we're gonna put in, like, what is your function?
Continuance.
Yeah, and I turn to Link and Morba. Just say that the ship is operating on an automated routine, apparently, of some kind. It's very responsive. We're jumping back to the shipyard.
And as he says this, there is a familiar hum through the ship as the droid control vessel jumps into hyperspace. It's an 8-hour trip back to Consortium Command. Is there anything you guys wish to do on the trip?
Like open a bottle of champagne.
Yeah, where's my Corellian whiskey?
It's party time. No, but seriously, Morba is trying to go to the droid control center part of the ship.
Okay, not a problem. Tycho's got the schematics, so you can easily find your way there. You notice that there is now power going to all the systems, like powering the droids, although they've not actually been activated yet.
Yeah, and I'm trying to like, there are obviously, like, are there dead personnel around there?
There are, yes.
I take one of their identification cards or something.
That's fine.
For the system that operates this droid control place. I assume these are, crew members who were tasked with operating these faculties of the ship.
Indeed.
So they should have access here. And I'll log in with one of their IDs.
Okay, you log in with your ID. You see that all of the sort of manual systems appear to have been overridden by the central computer core of the vessel.
Okay. Well, then that was it. Well, actually, I can't control anything from here, correct?
Correct.
But can I get sort of backup thing going on with the ship's computer? How is the droid control system built up?
So what do you mean, how is it built up?
I want to know the system behind the droid's controls. So if I were to, replicate this functionality of the droid control ship, I would know how to do it. I mean, not me, but someone who has something to do with it.
Yeah, that's fine. You can certainly do that. You can see that, rather like the droids I mentioned previously, they all have sort of basic functionality where they can be given basic commands, but then for any sort of like higher orders, they rely on a signal from the droid control vessel.
Okay. Then I just leave.
Okay, through the 8-hour journey, the crystal-studded cyborg doesn't move from its kneeling position below the data core. Then 8 hours later, you drop out of hyperspace into the middle of the asteroid field. You can see the large, imposing figure of the capital gunship, the Bloodthane, now under Consortium control, ahead of you. And immediately through the comms, you hear the voice of Obsidian saying, "Unknown ship, identify yourself. Or prepare to be destroyed."
I think Morba just answers through the comm and says, my dear friend, Obsidian, don't be so hasty to destroy our newest contribution to the consortium."
Morba, is that you?
You are correct. You see, I told you, I get this operation working in no time.
You hear Obsidian laughing, and he says, "Well then, that's a different matter. Come aboard the ship and I'll break open that Corellian whiskey I've been saving."
I was hoping we could celebrate. I have further good news, but I think it's best if I share those in person.
I look forward to hearing your report. And as your ship heads towards the Bloodthane, now under Consortium control, that is where we end this evening's session. Thank you very much for playing, guys. I hope you enjoyed the session. And I'm going to terminate the broadcast here.